When I think about the topic I want to share on today, or better yet, the subject matter of discussion for today, one thing resonates on my mind, and that's the story of the Chinese bamboo. If you've done the research or you've watched the videos of how you will put nothing, you plant the Chinese bamboo for almost 60 to 90 days, you wouldn't find anything sprouting out of the ground, and boom, just at the 90th day, the Chinese bamboo begins to tower, and it's so magnificent to really look at. Because if you were a Chinese bamboo farmer and somebody saw you always going to water on the Chinese bamboo plant every day without seeing nothing yet, they would think something had gone wrong with you, but not knowing that when you're monitoring change and you're monitoring acceleration, sometimes patience is a virtue. Patience is something that you have to really look out for. You need to have, I'm not saying that you should be patient and watch the company go down the drain. No, what I'm saying is patience has to go with a corresponding amount of inflow and work being done to ensure that that company can actually rise and stand on its feet. So basically today, we'll be talking about accelerating change through the board. Accelerating change through the board. What does acceleration mean in the first place? And what does change mean? Change is one thing on its own. Acceleration is another thing on its own. When you bring change and acceleration together, what you have is an accelerated change. That's what some people call scaling. When you say a company has scaled, a company has moved from a company that does 100,000 naira in a month to a company that does 50 million naira every month, you know, that's an accelerated change, that's scaling. So basically, what comes to your mind within this whole accelerated change regime in a company? It only simply means that the board members must at all times remain the gatekeepers for change and for acceleration within the sector in which that particular company does its business. The board must remain the gatekeepers. It will be unheard of that the first people not to notice change within a sector are actually the board members. That would really worry anyone, in fact, especially myself, because I expect so much from the management, but I expect so much more from the board members because of the role, the pivotal role that they play in ensuring that companies run smoothly, companies strategize, companies shed their weight and, they pick up new exciting projects. Companies deliver, of course, the remuneration, they deliver the dividends, the incentives, for the management, the remuneration for management. In fact, the delivery is tripartite. The management on one hand, the shareholders on the other hand, the stakeholders on the other hand, So the board members have a huge burden to be able to identify when the cheese has moved. There's this book, Who Moved My Cheese? I read the book. I think it's one doctor. I can't remember exactly his name. But it's a very, very important book because in that book, one of the principles that was shared there was that the cheese is constantly moving. Your profit line, in fact, your flow of profit, your point of profiting is constantly moving. What gave you 100 million yesterday may not give you even 20 million right now because the cheese is constantly moving. So where you have your gatekeepers, your board members, you must be able to communicate the fact that it is their responsibility to identify and to monitor the business and to check where the changes are happening. Technology has brought so much. In fact, you start a company today, the next thing, that idea is obsolete and that one takes over. It's a whole marathon of ideas out there. A whole marathon of ideas. What are companies doing in line of ensuring that their technology transformation within their companies, is driving change and of course driving profits? Because if you are changing without profiting, I don't know what kind of change is that really, for a company. Except you want to be big up on CSR, for example, not necessarily for the shareholders, but you're thinking about the community, But companies balance both actually, and they still do very well because you cannot really do very good CSR if your company is not really doing very well financially speaking. So, one of the things, I want to just share two things, two aspects of change. One has to do with change in the business environment. What environment did you do business in the last 5 years? what is your experience in the last 3 years? What was your experience within the pandemic last year for those of you in Nigeria? And what do you think your experience will be in the next 2 years? Strategy has a way of coming into this entire mix somehow, So you must look at the changes that are occurring in the present business environment. I'm not putting that whole burden right now on the board members. I'm also looking at, what the responsibilities and the roles that management also has to play in line with looking at change from this particular angle. The next thing also is the business model that your company used to get the results that it got 10 years ago. Are you still using that business model now? If you're a company that is just stuck on one-way traffic, the customers must walk into your company through the door. Imagine that. Imagine that that's how you're even still running your business now. If somebody doesn't come in through your door in your kiosk or maybe in your magnificent headquarters building, if they don't walk through that door to do business with you, then what business are you really doing? Companies of the future are looking out for diverse outlets where customers reside, diverse outlets where the clients are making decisions on a daily basis on their phones, on their laptops, on the cloud, on different platforms. It's so crazy the job that companies of the future would have to do to be able to reach out to customers, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Instagram. It's a whole lot of channels. Is your company still focused on the brick and mortar, or have you transformed, through technology? So you must look at your environment. You must also look at your business model. What's really happening right now basically is that your ability to focus must continue. In fact, you must continue to focus on execution. When you focus so much on execution, especially in terms of how it relates to your business environment, the changes that are occurring there, and also the changes that should occur, in your business model. In fact, just to buttress that point, I was reading a story on Victoria's Secret. I think it's a UK brand. I can't really say either Europe or UK. They make women's intimate wears and all that. And one of the directors there, one of the board members there actually said something. I think it's a board member there, but I can't remember now. He said, in time past, the company used to focus on, braziers that had a way of pushing up women and all that, that if you came up with any other idea, the board will shoot it down. They will shoot it down. That